Hello everybody, welcome back to 10 Minute Reviews. I'm Jason, this fuzzy one that's walked by with her toy is Freya. We're bringing you today's video. As always, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. The puppy would appreciate it, and we would appreciate all that support. We're just a small little family channel. Just love to talk about books, love to talk about authors. Speaking of support, thank you to our patrons. We really appreciate that. If there's anything specific you'd like to see, please let us know. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy the RSS feed we put on the Patreon site. We've had people ask us about podcasts, and while with the number of jobs we're currently working, we're unable to do it, I am able to stitch together at least our reviews and put up a 45-minute or so RSS feed on there for you guys to listen to if you prefer to listen to them. And I'll do my best to keep that as updated as I can. Obviously, I'm a little bit behind, but I've got about a dozen of them in there right now. So if you want to see anything else, please let us know. Otherwise, thank you again. So today I want to talk about Keith Laumer and his book, Rogue Bolo. I've already reviewed one of the Bolo books, but it was Old Soldiers, and I'm planning on reviewing more of them. They're actually kind of tough to find at times, but I've read them all, but I try not to review a book that I haven't at least refreshed on, so I have a little bit more to talk about because I read so much I forget a lot of things within the books. And Keith Laumer is actually the one who created the Bolo series. There's a lot of authors that have written within it. Dave Weber, I believe, is one who wrote Old Soldiers. I think an author, his last name is Keith, wrote a trilogy within the Bolo universe. They're awesome, and he covers a fairly wide time frame with the Bolos and their evolution of the Terran Confederacy and stuff like that. You got an emperor at one point, and it's pretty cool. Keith Laumer is the one who created the Bolos. So if you guys love the Bolo series, love the Bolos, you definitely got to read Keith Laumer. I mean, again, man created it. Now, Rogue Bolo is very, very interesting. It's an older book, and let's see, what year did it come out? Copyrighted in 1986, and it's almost like two books in one. Very, very different, like two radically different books in one. The first half is very, very interesting because they talk about the Bolos and the first time they create and build a Bolo that does not need a human commander. It's totally self-driven and autonomous and able to run all of its systems itself and make its own decisions. It can decide to not listen to an order even. And the first book is a set of, or the first half of the book, which again I consider a separate book. It's written as just continuous clips of quotes and pieces from news articles and pieces from surveillance and investigations, pieces of memos, pieces of newscasts, pieces of, say, congressional meetings and stuff like that. Because obviously the idea of creating this planetary siege weapon that is totally autonomous would of course create issues and creates terrorist organizations and riots and protests. And then you have the Bolo itself that when they finally bring it online, it starts doing its own thing in a way. And yet when it's using its processing power to identify threats and to collate and go through data at a level that the rest of the government cannot do at the time. And this is before the multi-planetary Terran Confederacy. This is still just Earth, and it's still just an Earth broken up into countries. That's one thing I do like. A lot of science fiction books, they eventually get to the point where Earth is almost like Star Trek, where it's just one big country. And, well, yes, that could certainly happen eventually. I don't see it happening anytime soon. We're just too diverse. We're just too diverse with diverse opinions and viewpoints and worldviews and cultures, and I don't see us turning into one big happy family anytime soon. And we are not one big happy family in Rogue Bolo. Not yet. And as this Bolo appears to be going rogue, even gets attacked by our own military, it creates new technologies. it creates, studies botany and metallurgy and plastics and figures out how to use its own systems to levitate and stuff like that, and to relocate itself, and eventually relocates itself to the moon. And the reason it does that, however, is it has used information from our space probes to discover an alien civilization. Alien civilization from another galaxy. This alien civilization from another galaxy is, I don't want to call it techno-organic, because they're really not organic. They're almost silicate-based. They're crystalline, basically. And they look at our probe as a life form, and humans that are within that probe as squishy little parasites that need to be expunged, basically. So this Bolo is trying to shield humanity. It's trying to, one, shield humanity from the knowledge of this civilization that will try and annihilate humanity if they discover it, and at the same time trying to shield humanity from this civilization as well, to the point of bringing it onto itself on the far side of the moon, trying to use the moon itself to block the view of the Earth, which is a little questionable science there, but we'll let that part go, to how it manages to ambush and eventually not defeat this civilization, but trick it, in a way, trick it into not wanting to come anywhere near our solar system, or even our galaxy, and just, move the hell on. Move on, nothing to see here, move on. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fascinating, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great, this would, right here, would be a fun introduction to the Bolos, because it's very, 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 very different than a lot of the Bolo books. Now, the second half of the book is much more like a novel. Instead of just pages of little clips, paragraph-long clips from different sources, it's written as an actual book. And it's dealing with a decommissioned Bolo that is, from a museum that is woken up by a child, basically, in the midst of an invasion, and ends up defeating the invasion, defending them, and thus getting itself recommissioned as a battle unit of the line. And it's, again, very, very similar to most of the Bolo books you guys might already be familiar with. In my opinion, the first half of the book that's so different than the other Bolo books is the best part. The second half is great, and it is fascinating, but again, it was written almost 40 years ago, and writing styles have changed. So it's not going to be quite as balls to the wall, action-oriented as you might be used to with some of the other Bolo books, like, again, David Weber's Bolo book, Old Soldiers. It's very tough to put down. So again, I think the first half is much better, and it's also very, very different. So after you guys hit the like and subscribe buttons, guys, you guys got to go check out Rogue Bolo by Keith Laumer, because again, he created them. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye now.